Good day and welcome back to another Spotlight series sponsored on behalf of the Mayor's Office of Black Male Engagement here in the city of Philadelphia. Today we have a great representative of the city. Some know him as being a black man, some know him as being a blue man. Some people know him as being a father of three. He's a man of the cloth. He has many hats, and we don't envy him for the job that he does. So we'd like to introduce Mr. G. Lamar Stewart. We're going to ask him to tell us a little bit about himself. Tell us about what he does. We're going to have some dialogue in between, and then hopefully we can leave with some words of advice and some words of encouragement from him. So welcome to the studio, G. Lamar. Thank you so much for coming today.
Man, Jack, I appreciate you having me, and glad to be here today.
Absolutely, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, recently celebrated a birthday yesterday. 34-year-old, 34 years now on this earth. I am born and raised here in Philadelphia. My mom lives in Germantown. My father is from Brooklyn, New York, but lived in the city in West Oak Lane and in down North Philly. So was kind of a mutt between the two worlds. I'm a father of three.
Got it.
Man of faith.
Did you say mutt between the two worlds?
Yeah, between two. Yeah. But father of three. I have a 16-year-old son. He'll be 16 next month. My daughter will be 2 next month. And I have a 3-year-old son as well.
You're a single father of three.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about that a little bit.
Man, parenting, fathering is probably the best responsibility I have in my life right now is the opportunity to be a father of 3 wonderful children, 2 boys and a girl. Raising boys is tough, but having a girl now has really changed the game. I was able to kind of be tough on my boys, and how that dynamic works is one thing, but now having this my daughter Gabriella, she pretty much runs my life.
Yeah, I was going to say,
show, man. I have no control over that relationship at all, man.
Got it. That's a beautiful thing.
So also pastoring a church. I've been pastoring now for 8 years at Lamar Baptist Church in Nicetown, and I just enjoy fathering, man, and serving. That's really where my heart is, serving both the kingdom of God, but also the community at large.
Sure. So you talked about pastoring a little bit. Tell us a little bit about why you think and feel that spirituality is important for black men, not only in this city, but just abroad everywhere.
Yeah, I definitely think, faith is very critical, in these days. For me, that's in Jesus Christ, but I know that everyone does not, everybody can choose kind of, who they desire to believe in or what they desire to believe, and they have that freedom. But for me, I think, being able to place your faith in someone that's bigger than you is critical. Life is tough right now, man, and if you're trying to rely on your own strength and your own wisdom and your own knowledge and your own wit and your own pedigree to kind of help you navigate life, at some point you're going to hit a brick wall. So I know for me, both during my time in the military and deployed to Iraq, growing up here in Philly, different challenges that I've faced, even on this job or in fathering, my faith is really what keeps me going.
Sure. Yeah. So it seems like you're a giver. I mean, you wear many hats, and do you sleep? I don't even know what to, and with that, why is that important? And just sort of like, when in your life did you realize that was something that was important to be giving to not only your family, the community at large, and serving the kingdom of God? Yeah.
I think this is part of my family dynamic is much bigger than me. I have my grandmother who's 90 years old.
Sure.
She has been committed to service. She clean houses, for people, white families, as she was coming up for about 60 years. And then she retired, but, through her years, she was always, serving families, serving the less fortunate. My grandfather, who was a truck driver for 42 years, but also a carpenter. Wow. He owned houses in Mount Airy in Germantown, always committed to serving people and serving the least and serving disenfranchised communities. So that's very much embedded into my family's narrative.
Sure.
I just pretty much picked it up 34 years ago, as a young kid, always being around my grandmother, around my grandfather, around my mom, and that's just who we were as a family. So when I turned 17, I decided to go into the military.
Sure.
Served in the military for 6 years and deployed to Iraq, came back home, got into corporate real estate, eventually joined Philly PD, and started pastoring Lamar Baptist Church, and so my life has been a life of service. I just that's where I'm fulfilled. That's where I get life and energy.
Sure.
The more I serve, the better I feel.
Sure. And you have a great story doing that. Tell us how important it is for black men living today to know their history.
Yeah. I definitely think that kind of, without understanding your history, you really don't have real identity. I think that understanding that, that there is a purpose for your life, and there are people who've paved the way for you to get to where you are, really helps you to understand the strength you have is deeper than your current circumstances. When I think about, just in recent history, names like, Cecil Bassett Moore, names like Dave Richardson, Georgie Woods, right here in this city, understanding the history and how they fought for civil rights in this city, that inspires me to keep going. Names like John Stewart, my grandfather, who was on the front lines of the work being done in Mount Airy and Germantown, and then even persons like Leon Sullivan and others, even in the faith community, Thomas Ritter, and others who put in work, and those are just men. I mean, there were tons of women as well, and Madam C.J. Walker, Fannie Lou Hamer, just to name a few. When you think about that history and the work that they paved in the civil rights struggle, and that really inspires me to go. That's where I get my life and my energy to do the work that I'm doing today.
Sure.
And service, man. This is what it's really all about.
Absolutely. So can you tell us a little bit about some of the work that you're doing in the city of Philadelphia or a specific area?
Yeah, definitely. So, particularly in this capacity in law enforcement, I serve under Inspector Derek Wood, who's the commanding officer for Southwest Division.
Sure.
Phenomenal leader in the police department. I'm the divisional community engagement officer for Southwest Division, and in that role, my job is to create initiatives and manage those initiatives and programs, building bridges between the community and police, particularly marginalized communities. So we are focused in several areas. Number one, reentry. Number two, the whole conversation of reentry and recidivism. Then also our kids and youth going into schools, and also the homeless population as well. We just started something with the LGBTQ community as well in the University City area. So one of our programs, particularly around reentry and recidivism, is a program called Turning a New Corner. Every first Friday of the month, we take employers and workforce developers to some of the busiest corners in Southwest and West Philadelphia, and we transform the corner into a job interview site. We started that in September, and since then we've been able to get 45 individuals hired with various employers across the city, many of them which are returning citizens who had some issues from their past, and maybe felt like, if I went into a traditional job fair or went into an interview of my own, somebody may not hire me. What we did was identified employers who was returning citizen friendly, and they agreed to come out with us. I mean, we have developers like Inwan, Myra Brown with Inwan. We've had commitment from Philadelphia Works, and some other entities as well, who's been really helping us with that program. We also do a program called Blades, Phase, and Engage. Every third Monday of the month, we go to Philly Cuts at 4409 Chestnut Street, and we've transformed the barbershop into a town hall meeting. The barbers are still cutting, business is still going on.
Absolutely.
But as we know in the black community, the barbershop is a space where all types of conversations happen. So we're talking about implicit, explicit bias. We're talking about police-involved shootings. We're talking about police and the community interactions, and creating a space, I should say, where the community feels free to talk about those things. The officers, we come in plain clothes, and we just have real conversation. It's been an awesome experience. We generally have somewhere between 45 to 50 people in that space, and we're just having real talk.
Okay.
Then we do something called Hope for the Hungry. Hope for the Hungry is an initiative. Hope stands for healing, optimism, provision, and empathy. And we're bringing that hope to those who are hungry. We take about 8 to 10 officers to Chosen 300 Ministries, right on their West Philly location on Lancaster Avenue, and we feed about 125 homeless or hungry individuals on a monthly basis. We also take toiletry bags, Ziploc bags of toiletries. And that's, again, officers donating those resources as a way to build a bridge.
It's very important.
Amber Hike here in the mayor's office
Sure.
for our LBGT introduced us to some folks over at University of Penn's LGBT Center. And we've been working with them starting in January. We will have monthly programs just engaging with our brothers and sisters who identify part of that community,
That's excellent.
figuring out ways we can better serve. And so what we're trying to do and model in Southwest Division is a progressive way at approaching community policing. And we're engaging even some demographics who historically have not had the best experience with law enforcement, have been very vocal about it. We're asking the question, why is that the case, and how can we do better?
Sure.
Because we really believe that if the relationship between police and community is going to get better, it doesn't start with the community.
Right.
It starts with us as public servants asking the question, how can we fix this, and how can we make it better?
Got it.
And so we're reaching out and we're asking, our activism brothers and sisters, our faith brothers and sisters, faith leaders, and community members as a whole to partner with us. Let's address the issue of gun violence in the city. Let's address the issue of healing the relationship between community and police. And we want to be better. And so we're really trying to lead the way with that
Sure.
in Southwest Police Division.
Those are all amazing programs and amazing ways to engage the community. How could community get some information about just sort of where, information about some of the things you discussed?
Sure. They can email me directly. My city email is gregory.stewart, that's Gregory, .stewart,
Sure.
at phila.gov.
Okay.
And if they send me email, I will send flyers and also give me some feedback. Share with me your thoughts, ways that we can do better. Again, our inspector out there, Derek Wood, also our police commissioner, has been very supportive of the community work that we've been doing. And we're hoping to even take some of these initiatives citywide here in the months to come.
To bring this to a close, if you could just give us some words of advice for the listeners, for the viewers, who may be young black men, really inspired either by some of the things that you've said and really kind of looking for some type of direction. Give us some advice for us.
Yeah, I definitely think, if I'm talking to a young black male today, I think, number one, it's important for them to, like I said before, where's your faith? Put that faith in someone.
Sure.
For me, that's Jesus. That may not be true for someone else, but put your faith in someone. Number two, understand that life is bigger than just right now. Every choice that you make today has consequences for your future. Number three, outside of those choices, be committed to just community. I think one of the things that I'm seeing, both as a public servant in law enforcement, but also in the faith community, is that a lot of our young men don't feel connected to the larger community. So that life is bigger than just the world you live in as an individual, but what are you doing to better your community?
Got it.
And so that's the advice I would give. Get education, for sure. It may not be college. It may be finding some trade that works, but getting some type of certificate, even if it's a business degree, to help you start some type of business. Follow your passion.
Sure.
Connect with your purpose, and life from there will go well. I definitely believe this, and I live by it, is don't chase money, chase purpose.
Sure.
And if you're really chasing your purpose and living out that dream, for me, that's service to humanity. The money will follow. But if you're chasing money, that will come and go. And so that's definitely what I would say to a young man today.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
So we want to thank you so much for coming to the
Absolutely.
studio here and sharing some of your gifts and your word. Thank you so much.
Man, appreciate you much, brother.
All right, we're looking forward to seeing you again and seeing you in the city doing some great things.
Man, thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much, and join us again for another Spotlight.